acknowledge that the Labour manifesto was beautifully written, deeply moving, and like that other great blockbuster of hope and redemption, The Salt Path, a total pack of lies.
The chamber broke into laughter, not out of amusement, but out of sheer disbelief. The moment an MP stood, took the floor, and calmly dismantled Labour's latest statement, it became painfully clear just how fragile the party's messaging had become. One by one, he laid bare the contradictions, the omissions, and the outright fabrications embedded within the announcement, exposing a political narrative so hollow it couldn't withstand even basic scrutiny. The laughter wasn't joy, it was contempt wrapped in astonishment, a public unmasking of what many now see as a crumbling credibility at the heart of Labour's leadership.
We are very proud of our manifesto.
It was sold as a bold national blueprint, a roadmap for progress and renewal. Instead, it collapsed into farce, a plan so poorly conceived it became the punchline of its own promise. The laughter that filled the chamber wasn't mere mockery. It was a political siren, a warning shot reverberating through Westminster and beyond. Every chuckle carried the same message. This wasn't leadership, it was delusion. And for a government desperate to project competence, that sound, the sound of open derision, was nothing short of devastating.
The chair of the working group for anti-Muslim hatred and Islamophobia, Dominic Grieve, who was appointed by the Secretary of State, has a previously stated preference for a definition of Islamophobia that would shut down talk of religion in cases like the grooming gangs scandal.
This is where the situation turns deeply concerning. When Angela Rayner was pressed on a report allegedly exposing systemic failures and disturbing bias in the handling of grooming gangs, there was no ownership, only calculated deflection. Not a shred of accountability. What's worse, there's an unmistakable pattern emerging, a deliberate attempt to suppress the conversation entirely, to bury uncomfortable truths under layers of political silence. That's precisely why it's critical to like, share, and subscribe. Because transparency doesn't survive in silence, it thrives in scrutiny. And if we don't demand answers, no one will. This is how we bring these issues out of the shadows and ensure that public voices are not only heard, but impossible to ignore. Let's now examine what they don't want you to see.
Graham Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I begin by warmly congratulating the Prime Minister on his first year in office, acknowledge that the Labour manifesto was beautifully written, deeply moving, and like that other great blockbuster of hope and redemption, The Salt Path, a total pack of lies. With joblessness, inflation, and debt ballooning, his personal ratings collapsing, and his backbenchers on a work to rule.
Yes, you heard that correctly. They're laughing at the very falsehoods they themselves created. This isn't confusion, and it's certainly not incompetence. It's arrogance, a deliberate sneer at the public's intelligence. What we're witnessing isn't just political spin. It's open contempt for the people who once believed in their promises. When leaders mock their own deceit, it's not strategy, it's collapse. It's the sound of a government so detached from reality that it no longer fears accountability, only exposure.
Could the Prime Minister... Could the Prime Minister recommend...
Come on, let's get on with the question.
Could the Prime Minister recommend a summer recess read in order to take all our minds away from the calamitous journey on which he and the Chancellor have embarked?
I think most of the backbenchers are already on their summer recess, looking at the benches opposite Mr. Speaker. We are very proud of our manifesto. It was a very successful manifesto, giving a landslide victory, and now we're very proud to be implementing it.
Kevin Holding, Shadow Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The chair of the working group for anti-Muslim hatred and Islamophobia, Dominic Grieve, who was appointed by the Secretary of State, has a previously stated preference for a definition of Islamophobia that would shut down talk of religion in cases like the grooming gangs scandal. All other members of that committee, again appointed by the Secretary of State, are adherents of the Muslim faith. Does the Secretary of State not share our concerns that their report and recommendations will be seen as predetermined and biased?
Secretary of State.
No, Mr. Speaker, I don't. And there's no blasphemy law in this country because the last Labour government got rid of it. But this kind of, incendiary language, Mr. Speaker, is beneath the shadow Secretary of State.
Kevin Hollingray.
Language, I was merely stating the facts. That's the reality. She was right in one regard. Freedom of speech is on the line. The current position is that the report will be for the government eyes only, and the decision on a definition will be taken in private.
If they are actively working to suppress this report, the question isn't just why, it's what else are they hiding? These aren't minor oversights or bureaucratic delays. We're talking about deeply sensitive, potentially explosive issues that cut to the heart of public trust. Brushing them aside isn't just irresponsible, it's a dangerous breach of democratic accountability. At the very minimum, the British public is entitled to full transparency, unfiltered truth, and answers that don't come wrapped in political spin. Anything less is a betrayal of the very principles they claim to defend.
Would she at least commit to making the full report publicly available so it can be scrutinised by this House and elsewhere before a decision is taken?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as set out in the terms of reference, the independent working group will submit their findings to ministers. We will then consider their recommendations and set out the next steps. I would urge the members to let the independent group get on with their work, and if he has views, feed them in as part of the call for evidence.
If you're tired of watching this political charade spiral further into absurdity, hit the like button right now. It helps more people see the unfiltered truth. And make sure to subscribe, because the stories we cover here are the ones mainstream media conveniently ignore. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think it's finally time to start calling these blatant falsehoods exactly what they are? Now, shifting focus to a moment that cut through the noise. A fiery clash erupted live on GB News as veteran farmer Colin Rayna, a man with nearly 5 decades of experience rooted in the English countryside, directly challenged Labour's Environment Secretary. In a tense exchange with political journalist Catherine Furr, Rayna dismantled Steve Reed's claims about the agricultural budget, accusing him point-blank of misleading the public. It wasn't theater, it was a raw, unscripted moment of accountability. And when Rayna called out Reed for telling outright lies, it didn't just rattle the minister, it shattered Labour's carefully polished narrative, exposing the widening credibility gap between party leadership and the people they claim to represent.
Welcome to the show. So, nothing to complain about, Colin. Farmers have more money. More money is going to more farmers than at any time under the previous government. What are you complaining about?
I just find it incredible that he can stand there and lie to the media. I've been farming since 1976. That's the biggest lie that we've ever been told to. The government is paying some farmers to plant wildflowers instead of growing food. That's insane. My 3 daughters have had to leave the business because the business is not profitable anymore. That's the next generation gone. They should be on the farm now learning the trade. You know, I'm 67. I just hope I don't have an accident in the next year to avoid the inheritance tax. This government, why does it hate the farmers so much? We here produce the best food in the world, allegedly. They should be supporting us. And he keeps saying the National Health Service, the money that he's raised from an inheritance tax, £740 million, he's given to African farmers to plant trees. He's mad as a hatter. I'm sorry. Well, it's just insane what this government is telling us.
Colin, a lot of people do raise this question of priorities and choices, and you're right to point out that the amount of money saved annually by this inheritance tax raid is about £750 million. Some say it's as low as £500 million, and yet we find that we're paying out £1 billion a month in universal credit to those from overseas. We seem to find the money to help those from elsewhere, but we don't seem to find the money to help our own.
We don't help any UK citizen. We seem to help everybody else in the world first. And I don't mind helping other farmers and educating them and them come to this country to learn how to farm. But we need to look after food production in this country. And we produce our own milk, we produce our own beef and sheep. And we now have a government wanting us to eat less meat to save the planet. Avocados don't save the planet. So I can't understand this government, why he can stand there. He was booed at the NFU conference. We had the Prime Minister speak to us before he became the Prime Minister and lie to us for an hour. I just wish to tell the truth. We as farmers can handle the truth. You know, our family have been farming the same farm since 1551. I think I will be the last generation, because the amount of tax the next generation will have to pay, will have to sell the farm, and it will turn into scrub land and into housing. We seem to be concreting over the countryside. They're now allowing solar farms on prime agricultural land. None of it makes sense. And I just wish this government would wake up and just speak to our National Farmers Union, speak to the Country Landowners Association. The statement he just made to your colleague was just unbelievable. The National Health waiting lists haven't gone down because they haven't collected any of the money from the inheritance tax yet. So it's I just find it laughable.
Okay, we have to leave it there, and it's incredible to hear 500 years, more than 500 years of farming could be broken by these decisions. That is an incredible thing to hear. I hope that doesn't happen.
If you've made it this far, it means you care about real reporting, and that matters. Every single view, like, and comment isn't just a number. It's fuel for this platform, proof that independent journalism still has a place in the public conversation. We're approaching a major milestone, and your support, yes, yours, is what gets us there. If the analysis you've seen here has brought you insight, challenged your thinking, or simply told the truth the mainstream won't touch, then take 1 second to subscribe. It costs nothing, but it tells the system that our voice deserves to be heard. Behind every frame of this content is time, research, integrity, and a refusal to play by scripted political narratives. Reaching the next goal isn't about vanity. It's about building a stronger, sharper community that refuses to settle for spin. So if you're here, and this resonates with you, click subscribe and be part of the pushback. Let's hit that next milestone together.